Springfield's Talk 1041. Hey, welcome to the show. It's Thursday, tomorrow, Friday. We will kick off the weekend at Scramblers there, doing the Friday Road Show as we always do, 6A to 9A. Doors do open at 6 o'clock. It is Thursday. We're going to have our Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. And we will also have Christy Fulnecki joining us in the 7 o'clock hour this morning. So, as you can see, we've got quite a lot. I got some... Thursdays are always a little easier for me to decide what order to talk about things because Christy's going to be here.
Yes.
For example, I have some Nancy Pelosi audio of her losing it. I have Kamala Harris audio of her just making the most hilariously absurd claims. So it's like, oh, well, clearly this is going to be the 7 o'clock hour stuff, just because there's certain things that I don't know. That just feels like a great hour.
It has to be shared with friends.
Yes, shared with friends, the Sharing with Friends hour. It's amazing. She's on this book tour, and it's so weird to see these people show up, and I can understand showing up, but when she'll make just like these claims as if it was the closest race ever, and this was her destiny, and they applaud and eat it up. And I'm like, aren't you the same people who? It's just so weird. Because, as we all know, Kamala Harris, prior to the election being stolen from Biden and handed to her, the left and publicly, editorials were being written about how Biden needed to drop her from the ticket because she was such a horrible drag.
That's right.
I mean, that was really the go-to solution on how it was to bring up his poll numbers. This was clearly before the debate had occurred, and increasingly you had voices in the Democrat Party. I mean, these weren't little whispers. These were public declarations being made that she was a drag on the ticket, that she had been, at the very best, a lackluster vice president in the first term. I mean, do you know how bad of a vice president someone has to be to have people within your own party call for you to be kicked from the ticket when the president is running for re-election? I don't know that that's ever happened in modern history. I think back to like Dan Quayle, probably completely unfairly, but was mocked and derided as George Bush's vice president, not GW, but Daddy Bush, his vice president, and just made fun of, and clearly not someone that was at all a draw to the ticket, and arguably even detracted from it. Yet Republicans didn't call for him to be kicked off the ticket as Bush ran for re-election against Bill Clinton. And so that's how bad Kamala Harris was. And again, not Republicans calling for her to be kicked, but Democrats were. And she dropped out of the presidential primary selection process before Iowa even occurred because she was so bad and so unliked by Democrats. Yet those same people will show up, and she acts as if she has had this groundswell of support from Democrats her entire life, that it was this long pathway to her deserved ownership of the White House, almost like a Hillary Clinton mindset, worked all those years, laid all that groundwork. And so it's this total and complete fiction. And they just applaud it and eat it up as if it's true. It's so weird. It's like as if these audiences were all collectively in a coma, and when they woke up, they were told, all right, now, you don't remember, but this woman here was the single most popular Democrat for generations, and she had long been seen as the hero of the Democrat Party. People were clamoring, begging for her to run for president, but she just kept saying no, and finally she agreed. And that's how they act, as if they believe that. You've got to understand, you folks that are, as I describe, if you fit that, how weird it is you seem, because of just every day, like waking up, and it's a totally new world. Today, Kamala Harris could be someone that is a drag on the Biden ticket, and then tomorrow you're told she's the greatest thing in the world, and you're just like, okay, sounds good. Where do I sign up? It's a bizarre thing for thinking people to observe, and it's a little unsettling at the same time. It's almost like the Democrats have become a political version of Stepford Wives. They don't ask questions. They just, do their duty, and they can't answer questions. So it's been a long while since I've seen Stepford Wives. I never saw, there was that remake with Nicole Kidman, and who else was in that? There were a number of relatively high-profile people, but the original Stepford Wives from the 70s, I think it was the 70s. Whenever there would be a wife that had not been turned into a, quote, Stepford wife, and there would be this recognition that something's wrong here, and so they would begin to sort of prod around and ask questions of them, and they just sort of blocked it out. They could never answer they just would deflect. That's what Democrats are like. Even when you ask them, well, you say this, but, just last week this, and well, I don't know about that, or, well, Donald Trump is fascist, and they are really like Stepford Wives, but in a political fashion. Us normal folk, you just come off as a little bit weird and unsettling. I got to tell you, just so you understand. But that being said, we still don't yell and scream in your face and demand that you be fired from your jobs, because, we're the coexist folks. Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First, meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 83. Tonight mostly cloudy with a low around 60. For your Friday, partly sunny with a high near 83. And taking a look at Saturday, we'll see an 80% chance of showers throughout the day with a high near 80.
Apparently it's National Grouch Day.
Oh.
I only know this because the posting was made by Darren Chappell with National Grouch Day, and then he says, just saying, no gifts required, thanks. Because he is a self-declared grouch. Traffic update, I'm Nick Reed. I just can't believe some of the things that are done. This smells that cause couples to argue. This is a survey that was done. They're talking about it on Fox News. I mean, who on
What?
earth? Who does?
Well, what were they?
Oh, pet odors. I saw up there. It said garbage.
Okay.
It was just showing a few. I wonder if it was done by like Glade plugins or something. You know, if you do a survey.
Sponsored
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Scentsy.
You know that kind of makes sense. I'm like, otherwise, who would do that? The weird things.
Yeah.
The weird things. It has been to some degree reported accurately that Hamas has been executing Palestinians that they see as challenging their authority. I believe there hasn't been a great deal of coverage on this because not as much as I think is warranted. Because the media just really doesn't see itself as what's going on. Okay, here it is. Here's what's going on. But they have to they instinctually have to know what it means themselves so that they know how to write the story. Let's see, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Simply put, does it validate their worldview? If so, then of course they shout it from the rooftops. If not, they either don't cover it or they figure out some way to cover it that they hope will make their viewer, less likely to see the wrong worldview. Oftentimes there are very newsworthy, significant occurrences that they don't really know what it means, and so you don't hear a lot about it. And I believe Hamas doing these public executions of Palestinians happens to be very confusing to them right now. They don't know exactly how this fits into their worldview, so they're not really doing a lot of reporting on it. On one hand, their instinct may be, well, look, Trump failed. Look at this. Clearly, Hamas isn't abiding by this, so Trump has failed. So there's that instinct, but at the same time, it conflicts with their worldview that Hamas is the good guy, and that every time something is preventing peace from occurring, it's because of the Israelis, and so they don't want to focus too much on Hamas for that reason. Also, their worldview and their narrative is that the Jews are the great oppressors to the Palestinians, to the people of Gaza, that genocide is occurring because of the Israelis, and quote, free Palestine is all about liberating the people from the evil Israelis that are out there looking to execute them. Well, when Hamas is carrying out public executions of people within Gaza, you can see how that crashes right into that worldview narrative of the media. Because after all, for all of the mistakes that Israel may make, and if you noticed during the last 2 years of their retaliation for October 7th, if there was, and there are always going to be, errors made, people killed that weren't intended to be killed, generally we would learn about it because the Israelis were the first ones to come out and say, hey, just so you know, we had a screw up here, and we're investigating it. So these things happen. But is there video of Israelis lining up people from Gaza, having them get on their knees and putting bullets in the back of their heads for the world to see? Where are those videos? Because I'm not claiming that the Israelis are pure as the driven snow, and that you never have nefarious actors in positions of power on that side, and that there aren't mistakes that are made. But when we are talking about the vision, the world view that the left has presented about this situation in that region of the world, the genocide is at the hands of the Israelis, that their intent, their motivation is to inflict terror upon those people, to go through and just needlessly slaughter individuals for the sake of their own bloodthirst. Yet, when it comes to the actual proof of that occurring, it's Hamas killing their own people. Now, when I say their own people, this also is not necessarily a claim that these are the most, quote, innocent, just the people of Gaza that are just going about their days. There are, obviously, nefarious actors within Gaza that are attempting to fill a void, a vacuum that they feel is coming because of this peace deal. That it has become clear part of this deal is that Hamas will not be in power. Well, that means people are going to be stepping up and trying to take power. Hamas knows this, and this is what Hamas is trying to prevent. As I have noted from the beginning of this peace deal, the likelihood of Hamas completely complying with it in its entirety was extremely unlikely. However, Trump, in my assessment, his reliance on this working out for the better wasn't on that occurring, but more so the fact that it would marginalize and isolate Hamas, that it would create an environment in which Hamas is eventually snuffed out by its former allies in the Middle East and perhaps even its own people. And we are watching that play out. This is Hamas's response to the fear that they are going to become obsolete. And whom is it that they are executing? Whom is it that they are trying to strike fear in the culture and the community? It is the people of Gaza, because that is who they recognize they are now in danger of losing power to. This is the brilliance of this Trump plan. And I think this is, again, part of the reason that this isn't getting a tremendous amount of coverage, because the media is incapable of just covering stuff and saying, here's what is going on. They have to know first how it needs to be crafted so that you understand what is really going on here. And they can't really figure that out so much. They don't really know. Again, yes, they could report, look, this is falling apart, but, and that's why Trump is a failure, and all of his showboating and the calls for the Nobel Peace Prize, that is all for nothing, because already within days this is falling apart. But the reason it's falling apart is because the great Hamas is executing people of Gaza. And that conflicts with the worldview that the reason, as they have presented it, the people of Gaza live in such a hellhole is because of the Israelis. Really? Day one of moving towards autonomy, and look at what is happening. This also might make some people observe and go, so this is what a two-state solution might look like? This is what we have been clamoring for. This is what we've been told is good for the people of Gaza, is to give them self-control. And the moment that you begin to see this plan move forward, and you'll already have Hamas, the great saviors of these people who are just trying to protect them, are executing them in the streets as a message to everyone else, we are in charge here domestically. Incidentally, and this is how sick the Democrat Party has become in this country. Mamdani has refused to call on Hamas to give up its weapons that it is using to execute people of Gaza. Can we all agree now that with the left, this has never, ever, ever been about the benefit of the people of Gaza? That this has never been about simply liberating those people from tyranny? In the horrific aftermath of these executions at the hands of Hamas, and you have what is expected to be the next Democratic mayor of New York City saying, no, I'm good with what's going on there. It's not my place to call on Hamas to disarm and quit executing its own civilians. This is how drastic the radicalization of the Democrat Party has become. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. Got a traffic update here standing by. I do want to remind you at ksgf.com. School obviously back in session, and we've got the Teachers Lounge Pizza Party underway again. Your registration for that. And that is along with Godfathers. And so Pizza Party is synonymous with classrooms, and this is instead focusing on the adults, the teachers. Although it doesn't have to actually be a teacher. The ultimate theme here is that it's not for the kids in the classroom. You can get registered or register. You got a husband or wife or son, daughter, mom, dad that works in the school district, then go ahead and get signed up. And if they win, then they'll have pizza delivered to the school. And, I don't know, hoard them all for yourself if you want, or have them in the teacher's lounge. You do whatever it is. You're the winner, actually. Get signed up for that along with Godfathers at ksgf.com.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 83. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 60. For your Friday, partly sunny with a high near 83. And for Saturday, we'll see an 80% chance of showers throughout the day with a high near 80.
All right, so there has been since the beginning of the implementation of the peace agreement between Israel and Gaza. Executions carried out by Hamas of the beloved Palestinian people. And this is done because they are trying to make sure domestically people know that they are still going to be in charge in some capacity. The part of the agreement is that they will not have a play of power. They will not be in any leadership positions. But it is clear that they still want to be relevant, obviously, and they still want to be, even if it's behind the scenes, the ultimate power people. So that's what they're doing right now. They are, this is terrorism, which they're terrorists, so this is what they do. They are carrying out acts of terrorism against their own people for the sake of terrorizing them into allowing, Hamas still to call all of the shots, regardless of what it looks like in terms of official leadership for the people of Gaza. And listen, it's no surprise all of these left-wingers that have been running around talking about freeing the Palestinians, about the genocide, seemingly have no problem with Hamas executing these people. None. I'm sure the No Kings protesters will not divert their energies to this particular plight of the Palestinian people or the people of Gaza. Highlighting how pro-violent the Democrat Party has become. Democratic New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, who has fully acknowledged he supports global jihad, as he is set to be the next mayor of New York City, which, you may recall, September 11th, 2001, was hit in the name of global jihad. The fact that the people of New York City are going to put a guy in mayor that's fully supportive of that movement tells you how far the Democrat Party has come. He also has declined to say that Hamas should disarm and relinquish power following Trump's peace deal between Israel and the terrorist organization. These are the people who are currently carrying out public executions of people in Gaza. And Mamdani will not say that they should disarm and not be in any sort of authority or power. What sort of psychopath is this guy? To whom is he serving? And if Democrats, and I fully believe that they will because of the way that he's polling, will put this guy in office, is there anyone that they won't? I mean, aside from, some pro-American law and order guy. You think about the fact that these are the people that are going to elect Mamdani call Trump Hitler. How jacked up in the head are these people? And what I predicted would occur has occurred. That prediction, when the primary was still occurring and these Democrats were coming out and saying this guy's anti-Semitic, this guy is dangerous, his policies are horrible for New York. You even had the New York Times writing an op-ed piece pleading with the people of New York, don't vote for this guy. I said they will all fall in line. That if this guy wins the primary, all of these Democrats who fully acknowledge he is a dangerous human being, who fully acknowledge that he is anti-Semitic, will turn around and tell people to vote for him, and they will support him. And that's exactly what is happening. Elizabeth Warren, hell, it's not even Elizabeth Warren's state. And she's saddled up next to him. Obviously, Ocasio-Cortez, Kathy Hochul. Hilariously, he still refuses to endorse her as governor of New York. I mean, these people. And Hillary Clinton claimed Trump supporters were deplorable. Slap onto that, Mamdani says that he still plans and promises to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he ever comes to New York City. You know, the Jew. So Hamas executing the people of Gaza, that he's okay with. Benjamin Netanyahu, however, you know, the big Jew, that guy he will have arrested if he ever steps foot in New York City. But the Democrats should have another conference and try and figure out why it is that people think their party has some issues with normal Americans and why it is that people see them as potentially just a whiff of anti-Semitism. Let's have a conference and figure that one out. And another poll showing a majority of young liberals endorse violence, specifically to stop deportations. It's laughable, and this is something Democrats should understand. When you run around claiming you're not a party of violence, yet a majority of your own young voters say, oh, yeah, we support violence to get our way, yeah, you understand how that doesn't jive? They don't even put effort into trying to gaslight any longer. There's no attempt to even hide the fact that they're attempting to do it. I mean, your own people, your own party when they're polled. This is similar to the polls that used to be taken in the Middle East, and while you would have people running around saying, oh, no, I mean, just a few terrorists, that's not a representation of the Islamic people in the Middle East at large, and then they'd poll the people of whatever country in the Middle East, and like 80% of them say, oh, yeah, we support terrorism. Okay, I don't think you're paying attention. It's the same thing with the media and the Democrat Party today in the United States. Oh, we're not a party of violence. Oh, no, this is a both sides problem. Yet, okay, well, now we're going to do a poll. Do you support violence as a Democrat if it means getting your way, particularly when it comes to deportations? Oh, well, sure, yeah, absolutely. That's different, see. 60% of young liberals say it is acceptable to go beyond peaceful protests in response to immigration raids conducted by law enforcement. 42% of liberals overall say it is acceptable to go beyond peaceful protest, even if it meant breaking the law. And then when you add in younger Democrats, it jumps to 60. So what does that tell us? That is the direction the Democrat Party is heading. The fact that 4 out of 10 Democrats overall support violence. But as you get to the younger and younger Democrats, increasingly, the Democrats that, have spent a number of years on university campuses, gee, I can't understand why they've been indoctrinated into this policy mindset. The future of the Democrat Party, a majority of them support political violence. Yet the people who are elected as Democrats by these individuals and the people that are in the media will still insist to you, no, that's not true, no. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to the Democrats who say that they support violence. They don't mean it. They don't know what they're talking about. It's a both sides problem. Oh, is it? Okay. Springfield's Talk 104.1. The Pyramid Roofing Company text line is 417-447-KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. Got Chrissy Filnecki in the upcoming hour. Hey, here's what Kayla had to say about Emily Johnson House Theory Realty. Working with Emily, absolute pleasure from start to finish. Had the opportunity to both buy and sell properties with House Theory's help, and each experience exceeded our expectations. Her deep knowledge of the market, strategic insights, keen eye for value truly made a difference every step of the way. Beyond their expertise, they were a genuine delight to work with, professional, responsive, and always looking out for our best interests. You know, one of the things that you'll notice when it comes to the reviews, and I grabbed that one off Zillow for Emily Johnson, is oftentimes you'll go to check out reviews and it'll say this many stars, and then that's pretty much all they post. Or they'll be like, great experience. You get, for the most part, detailed explanation as to why it is that they recommend Emily Johnson House Theory Realty, which says a couple of things. One, it gives you some insight into why it is that they give Emily 5 stars. But at the same time, you know, people who really genuinely feel grateful for a good experience will detail those great experiences. That's not the sort of thing a person is like, oh, yeah, it was all right, I'll give them 5 stars. And I think I'm really going to go into detail to try to sell it, even though I'm just sort of meh about it. It tells you that that is the level of service that people really get. And I can attest to it. Sarah can attest to it, and so many of you can as well. For all of your home buying and selling needs, Emily Johnson House Theory Realty. Talked yesterday about a Democrat congresswoman who got in the face of a Capitol Hill police officer. And this was, she led a number of white liberal women, again, the absolute worst, and they're carrying signs about something. And they went to Mike Johnson's office demanding, there was a special election, and the winner of the special election has not been sworn in yet. So they were going there to demand that. And the little entryway to his office had signage there that blocked it, and the congresswoman tore it down, at which point the Capitol Hill police officer, you know, tried to stop her and said, you can't, this is a blocked off area. Now, Mike Johnson wasn't even in his office, so ineffective, of course, as most protests from the left are. But she got up in the face and was yelling at this Capitol Hill police officer, and quite aggressive. She got much, much, much closer and much more aggressive than Ashley Babbitt ever did to the Capitol Hill police officer who opened fire and executed her. Well, now she's claiming that the Capitol Hill police officer forcibly grabbed her. Couple problems with this. One is there's video of it, and it shows that that's not true. She's lying, which I know comes as a huge shock. At the same time, isn't this just wonderful? So let's see if we understand this. You have a bunch of lunatics on the left that are trying to trespass into the speaker's office. And when a Capitol Hill police officer tries to stop them, one of them, happens to be a congresswoman, gets in his face and is yelling at him. His refusal to allow her to trespass into Speaker Johnson's office is unacceptable. This is unacceptable behavior from a Capitol Hill police officer. Now, of course, she falsely claims that he forcibly grabbed her. None of the footage shows that that happened, but nonetheless, let's just say he did that. Let's just say he did forcibly grab her. Now, in the mind of this congresswoman, and I'm sure Democrats everywhere, that is absolutely unacceptable behavior. Unacceptable behavior. They have a right to have their voices heard. How dare that Capitol Hill police officer even lay hands on her? But if you're Ashley Babbitt, a Trump supporter who wants to have your voice heard, and you're illegally trespassing inside the Capitol, and a Capitol Hill police officer who's like 20 feet away, and you have no weapon, opens fire and executes you, that guy deserves a medal. That is the perspective of the Democrat Party. Murdering Trump supporters is reason for reward. And we know this because that's what they've done. And to then watch a member of the Democrat Party pitch a fit as she tried to illegally trespass into an area of the Capitol she was not meant to go, and a Capitol Hill police officer just simply told her, you can't do that, that's over the line. Said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm for equal treatment, and if it is perfectly okay for Capitol Hill police officer to open fire and kill people who are illegally trespassing and have no weapons whatsoever on them, are not even trying to physically create any sort of altercation, then I think that this Capitol Hill police officer should have been able to open fire and start executing some of these people, just the way Ashley Babbitt was executed. I think we need a little equal treatment in this country, don't you? Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. I think it's fair to say that in the minds of many people, folks that sell vehicles sometimes don't have the best reputations, and especially when it comes to the maintenance area. Like, oh, don't take it to a dealership. They're this and that and so forth. They'll screw you around. But the Pinniger family has long operated differently. And I wanted to share with you a story from Becky that demonstrates just that. We were stranded in Branson with an immobilized fob, so we thought. Called Pinniger Honda for advice. Darren told us that we could get the car, that they could get the car jumped, or we could rather, because it was probably not the fob at all. Sure enough, that worked, and he scheduled us with West Oldman, even though it was a Monday and they were booked solid. He had us in and out of there in about 1 hour with a new battery, and we were back on the road home. Thank you, Wes and Darren. That from Becky, and that is echoing to a large degree the level of satisfaction that people have while dealing with the maintenance crew and the folks there at Pinniger Honda. Now, they do have the Pinniger Advantage. If you have purchased any Pinniger family vehicle, 10% off your oil changes and tire rotations. If you have purchased specifically from Pinniger Honda, you get 20% off at Pinniger Honda. And then, of course, when it comes to purchasing vehicles, whether they're pre-owned or new vehicles, you're going to find, and I recommend check out the reviews, see what people have to say. It is the opposite of what people generally talk about when they have experiences purchasing vehicles. And it is why that growing popularity of the Pinniger family and the way that they do things is continuing to occur. And it's why I tell you about them as well. Pinniger Honda, tomorrow's Friday, which means Food Truck Friday, of course, at Pinniger Honda, South Campbell, just south of Walnut Lawn. All right, so let's see here. Let me share this real quick because we do have about a minute before we get into the upcoming hour. And Axios has a story that just shows the lack of any sort of real meaningful leadership in the Democrat Party. And the piece from Axios is regarding Hakeem Jeffries, the election denier that is the leader of Democrats in the House. And it notes dozens of Democrats running for U.S. House seats across the country told Axios they either aren't going to vote for Hakeem Jeffries as party leader or decline to commit to doing so. They note that Jeffries had enjoyed unanimous support of his caucus since becoming Democratic leader in 2022. That may no longer be the case next Congress amid growing grassroots frustration towards his leadership, particularly on the left. And so they had dozens upon dozens of Democrats. They contacted looks like as many of them as they possibly could, and just had a significant number saying, again, either, nope, we're not going to support him, or we're not committing to it. A further leadership vacuum in the Democrat Party. Springfield's Talk 1041, and welcome everyone. My name is Nick Reed. Tomorrow, I believe either Anthony or Alex Carricker will swing by as we broadcast live from Scramblers Friday Road Show. They're always there to, just update us, update you on the current environment when it comes to home loans and whether it's a good time, bad time. And, the thing of it is, it seems to me as if you're needing a new home, it's a good time to do it. I mean, trying to gauge things and ride things out and sort of play the system itself generally does not work in one's favor. And everyone's situation is different. And so ultimately, it isn't so much what is happening with interest rates and what's happening with the marketplace and the inventory, but what is your situation? That's really what matters. And so if you think you need to wait or you think you need to do it right now because of all of these things going on with the marketplace, just reach out to them and use their knowledge. Tell them, here's what I'm looking at, here's what's going on, and this is what we are planning, and they will let you know based off all their knowledge, here's the landscape, these are things that you probably should consider. And then if you are still someone that's waiting for a magical interest rate number, go ahead and get the paperwork started with them. That way it's all done and taken care of. So right out of the gate, bam, once that magical number gets hit, you are off to the races and you're not behind the curve on things. iwantagreathomeloan.com is the website. Check it out. Reach out to them. All their contact information is there as well. And like I said, one of the two characters should be joining us tomorrow during the show. And so if you happen to be there and you want to ask them any questions, you can do that as well while we broadcast at Scramblers. Christy Fulnecki is here with us today.
Yes.
How's it going
Good
there?
morning. It's going great.
Well, that's just great news.
Very busy, but not as busy as Trump. I'm telling you, that guy, he puts everybody to shame.
Just go, go, go.
I know.
It's funny.
I mean, so impressive.
It's if you pay attention to everything that goes on and you do not put yourself in a self-imposed bubble, it is so clear the different worlds people live in. And so you see all these things that are occurring because of Trump. And then you see an article, Martin Sheen giving a speech somewhere talking about how, Donald Trump is a nothing and that he and his people need to look in their hearts to start doing good for people. I'm like, I'm sorry, have you not seen what's going on in the Middle East right now? Just among other things.
I know,
The entire world collectively is coming together and praising him and like everyone is standing in line to nominate him for Nobel Peace Prizes. Yet some of these Democrats have so isolated themselves from what's going on in the world. They have no clue this stuff goes on.
You can tell they're delusional.
Yeah.
And they have mental illness because they're living in a different alternative reality, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's so good. He is just such a master at marketing, having all those leaders stand up there with the sign peace. I mean, of course, they plan that. I mean, they have.
Sure.
I mean, Trump's people.
And it should be shown. It should be demonstrated. This is the thing that a lot of people will criticize Trump for. They're like, oh, well, look at him. He's just doing this and trying to make. Okay, yes, he is. But because it actually happened. That is opposed to what we're normally accustomed to, and that is where there's all this showness, but there's no actual substance. Yeah. It's where normally when everyone gets together and they take the pictures and all this, they haven't actually done anything.
Right, yeah.
Or, maybe they'd come to some sort of quote agreement, but it doesn't mean anything. No one is held to it.
Joe Biden.
Right, yeah, right.
Take the picture with the world leaders, please.
And so when they want to point to Trump and look at him, he's just doing this in order to get attention, so forth. Okay, fine. But these things need attention drawn to them because they're actual meaningful things that happen.
Yeah.
Not just, it's like the steak and the sizzle. The steak is there, as is the sizzle, as opposed to what we're accustomed to. And you hear the sizzling, but there's actually no steak there.
Yeah, and I love how he has formal ceremonies for everything, but it really portrays visually, the importance of what's going on. So I think it's good for people to see that because we haven't seen this in so long. But
and then you're going to see these And they are, I'm sorry, they're idiots and imbeciles, these no kings protesters that have
No
absolutely
clue what
like
they're talking
what
about.
you that right there more than anything is a sign of a mental health crisis in this
Yeah,
country.
I know.
It's
That's what it is.
total delusion. Total delusion. It would be as if I try as best as possible for people who don't understand it to draw these analogies. It would be as if there was a massive segment of the population that believed aliens had, like lizard people. Okay, lizard people had taken over, and half the elected officials were actually lizard people. And then they hold these huge protests, and they're along the side of the road, and they're like, "Beware of the lizard people." Like, you people don't understand. Like, what are you talking
You
about?
know,
What world are you
you know,
living in? This is not the real world that you're in.
well, especially when you say you show them things that are real, like you show them the videos of
They
the
break.
violence in
Yeah.
Portland, and then they say, no, that's not happening.
My favorite
And
is, well, I have a lot of favorites, but one is a guy, and he's like, so now what do you feel about the fact that Trump has deported 3.1 million illegals? And they're like, it's just awful. It's the worst thing ever. He's like, oh, actually, so Trump has deported 400,000. The 3.1 million is from, now these are numbers that
Oh,
are
yeah,
little,
right.
were actually from Obama. Now, so what do you think about that? Well, I don't really know much about that. Oh, yeah, clearly.
Yeah, that's right.
I love how they just default on, I'm just an idiot. That's their default. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. So,
I mean,
but
they
we
are
but we should
so.
listen to you.
I mean, they're so wacko. And Kathy Griffin, did you see her on the video yesterday?
Oh,
That she,
yeah. But
oh,
well, no, I
so,
saw an article about it, but I don't remember what it
oh,
was.
she was said, I'm just gonna say it, that Trump stole this election, and I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? You are so. And then weird.
The election denier
She
stole the
always has weird
election.
behind her. Of course, you always remember like her famous picture she took, but like she had a wig on that was on a stand behind her. And I'm like, where are you? You are just totally wacko.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
they
telling
are.
you, there's so many problems. I mean, besides all the memes making fun of them, and then all of them becoming unhinged. I mean, I think people are just totally leaving the party. I love what Trump said. I think it was yesterday. He's like, "You have these beautiful black women wearing MAGA hats in Chicago," and
Yeah, he's a beautiful black woman. Greg Gutfeld called BBWs is what Greg Gutfeld was calling them. Because he asked Carol, because they played a clip of it, and
that's
so
funny.
Greg Gutfeld said to Harold Ford Jr., for those that don't know who's black, and like, so what do you think about BBWs? And he's like, I'm not going to talk about that. We got more with Chrissy Fulnecki coming up. Traffic also, latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 83. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 60. For your Friday, partly sunny with a high near 83. And taking a look at Saturday, we'll see an 80% chance of showers throughout the day with a high near 80.
Chrissy Fulnecki
Yes, good
joins
morning.
us. Kamala Harris is out there on her book tour.
Oh,
One of
yeah.
my favorite parts about the book tour is that these Democrat activists keep accusing her of being responsible
And
for
genocide. Yeah.
genocide, war crimes, and I love it because you cannot make those people happy, and it's part
Yeah.
of their losing strategy has been to try and cater to viewing the anti-Semites in their party as a constituency because you can never make them happy. I mean, outside of actually literally rounding up the Jews, putting them in boxcars, sending them to concentration camps, and having executions, you cannot win these people over. Yet they continue to try. She's like,
Yeah.
I know, I won't pick a Jewish guy to be my running mate. That'll make him happy. Nope, that's not how they work.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me all the people that talked about Gaza, and all the people that are saying, well, they've said free Gaza and nobody said anything. Literally, I mean, that's what people have been talking about. Democrats have been talking about Gaza forever. Then it's totally silent, except Raging Cajun.
They like they
He's-
flip. Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we actually meant just kill the Jews. Oh, I
right.
apologize that you misunderstood what I was saying.
I know it's so bad. And during that in that auditorium when those protesters came in, Kamala was so angry. I don't know if you saw her. She just like totally lost
I'm
it.
sure she's like, what do you want from me? She's just gonna
is
break
like,
and then start, cackling, and they're gonna break her.
I mean, and for her to say she was listing all of her accomplishments.
Oh yes, this is some of the audience. So she's going, yeah, she's going through and listing all of her accomplishments, and then this is what subsequently came from her listing off what a successful person that she is.
Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead.
I'm just speaking fact.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
I mean,
embarrassing.
if
That is
okay.
embarrassing for me as a woman, and an attorney. I mean,
Now,
please.
a good follow-up question would have been who?
I know.
Seems like an obvious one.
Another one.
Yeah.
Woman.
Yeah. Well, okay, so and then how do you define most qualified? Because you would think most qualified by default would mean that, I don't know, you would have won, first off.
Yeah.
And maybe won by a landslide, like all 50 states. Because if you're the most qualified candidate, you would have to do better than anyone else has done. And let's see, Reagan got 49 states. So if you're more qualified than he was, then you would have had to have won 50 states. Yet you lost every battleground state. You lost like 90% of counties. Every demographic, including minorities, eroded away from you and went to Trump, yet you are the most qualified. But this is the way that the left thinks. Actual results and words don't even matter. You just put I'm the most qualified ever. What the hell does that mean to you?
Well, and putting aside the election, if she's talking about qualified as in this is what I've accomplished, then you can look at 0.
Right.
I mean, she names all those positions.
It's funny because it part of the other audio prior to that, she was talking about her first running for office, and so the question was like, you had so many obstacles against you. You were a person of color and a woman, and this and that. Listing all the whining talking points, and then Kamala Harris said something like, "Well, yes, I am a woman," and I thought, yeah. That's how you got your first job. I mean, really, everyone knows that.
Yes.
Willie Brown fully told the world on you. Your little walk of shame there to your first elected office was because you were his side piece.
But we dodged a bullet with her. Can you imagine if she would have been president?
Not according to these people. And it's like I just, every aspect of this it's almost embarrassing to have to dismantle. First off, you didn't even run for that nomination.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You didn't you were given it. So you was the most qualified candidate to ever run. In terms, you didn't run.
Yeah.
I mean, you now, of course, you were thrown into finishing up Biden's race that he won in order, for the general election. But when you were, quote, running as a candidate during the primary, you were the first one to drop out before Iowa even occurred. That's how bad. Like and then these idiots, and they're, oh yes, that's so true. What is wrong with you people?
It is so. It actually scares me.
It is scary.
That she was so close to becoming president. If Biden would have died in office, which I still think maybe he didn't, that was somebody else, but
Still haven't.
Still, I mean, if she, can you imagine what a disaster that would have been? I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's like so interesting that, I mean, she truly is an idiot. You write a book.
She is an idiot
about people that supposedly supported you, and then you call everybody out, and then your staff leaves, and then they go join Newsom, and so you have like nobody left. And so who are you touring for?
But
like the mental illness wackos that come to watch you in an auditorium?
Largely.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Okay, on one hand, you can say to yourself, all right, well, if it's a situation in which Democrats like, okay, well, this is what you have. This is you go with what you got, right?
Yeah.
But this is what you have. Like, you cannot, you're telling me that there is no one more qualified than her or Gavin Newsom to be Democrats. This is not a good reflection on you. Have choices.
I know.
Like,
well,
you have choices.
They don't really have any choices.
I mean,
look at it's like, who is the less crazy one?
But again, you go back to people like Josh Shapiro, who may not be the best governor and he's got some bad ideas. I don't think he's a lunatic like these people, but he's a Jew, so they can't vote for him.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for him to recognize. Like, it's like, when is he going to wake up and realize? I mean, what a joke.
I mean, look at they call baby back in Illinois. He calls him baby back.
Who does he call? What?
The governor of Illinois.
Calls him baby back?
No, Jesse Waters.
Oh, he does what?
Yeah, baby back ribs. Yeah, it's
baby.
if you'll catch it, he'll call him what's his last name?
Waters, Jesse Waters.
No,
Pritzker.
Yeah, so he
Pritzker.
calls him
baby
baby back Pitzer or something like that.
Baby back.
So he'll always say baby back. So that's what I think of when I picture his picture and him complaining. But I mean, if you look at him, he is so crazy too.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So like, you look at all these people and you're like, who do they have to choose from?
But the thing is, these are the people that they choose to have as their choices. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then that's a reflection on.
And maybe I guess it's just because even right now at the just entry level, normal people can no longer get elected as Democrats, or maybe they can't, but they can't get beyond like a state rep position. You know, maybe they happen to be in a particular area where the Democrats are still somewhat normal and haven't abandoned the party. They're sort of like, those World War II Japanese veterans that lived in the mountains for 30 years after the war ended, not, just hiding out. So there may be some normal Democrats out there, but it's just becoming increasingly clear. You have to be insane to be, and this is a product of their own making. I mean, they've done this to themselves, where in order to win primaries, they're like, whomever the most crazy segment of the voting bloc is, that's who they cater to. That's how Kamala ended up with, there was all this footage during the campaign that the Trump people ran of her talking about giving free sex change operations to illegal aliens in prison and like these things that are insane to the normal person, but she was running in a primary. And so they feel like they have to cater to that most extreme wing, and they never pull back is the thing. They never right themselves. They instead have to go further to the left, because that's what the left demands. You can never go far enough to the left of them.
Yeah, right.
You think that you get there. It's like almost some sort of nightmare where you're running towards, something, and it's just all of a sudden you realize I'm not getting, or I get there, but then I go to reach for it, and all of a sudden it's 100 yards away again. And it's gotten to the point where, at least on a statewide level and a national level, you just can't get a nomination unless you're a nut.
Yeah, and Newt Gingrich was talking about that last night, about how, with Trump's assassination and what happened with Charlie Kirk, it's getting so violent and extreme that the normal people in the Democratic Party are like, okay,
Well, and let's
we're
hope so.
done. And he was saying he
Yeah.
really thinks that they're leaving in
And
droves.
and there's been a lot of evidence that, at least to some degree, particularly after they assassinated Charlie Kirk, in which voter registration, where people register by parties and states, that there was these massive spikes in the number of people that were registering as Republicans. And then on the other side of it, and maybe this goes hand in hand, there was another poll: 60% of young liberals believe political violence is okay when it comes to their getting their way when it comes to immigration and not enforcing immigration laws. And so, how much of that is, okay, well, because more and more of them are turning crazy. But at the same time, if you have the normal ones going away, then the party's going to that increases the number of crazies.
Yeah, right,
in
right.
terms of
And I'm so glad
percentages.
about seeing all the polls about Christianity and all the
Yeah.
Bible sales
Yeah.
increasing, and people. It's like a 50% increase in listening to
Right,
Christian
yeah.
music, and so. I mean, you're always going to have good and evil right there.
Yeah,
That's what it is. So you
yeah.
just have enough. You have to have enough good people to fight the evil people.
And then when it comes to terms like evil, people on the left will say, well, see, you call people evil. But here's the thing about Christians in particular. We know we are to love everyone. We are to love our worst enemy. We are to pray for our worst enemy. Your version of evil is we need to kill those people.
Yeah.
That's where the difference is. More with Christy Fulnecki coming up. I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 83. Tonight mostly cloudy with a low around 60. For your Friday, partly sunny with a high near 83. And taking a look at Saturday, we'll see an 80% chance of showers throughout the day with a high near 80.
I do have some more Kamala Harris audio. This is a podcast interview she did called House Guest. I don't know who the host is. The setup, it's a video, which I think most podcasts are today. Seems like it's some black guy, and it looked like they were at an outdoor tea party patio or something. It was kind of an odd setting, I thought. And so here, I'm just going to play the audio.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite things to see, and it would always happen spontaneously, at our rallies, and thousands of people would come. And there, it would happen, is invariably somebody would want me to take a picture or to hug their child. And someone in the back would hand that baby over through the crowd.
Up to you.
People who would
Bless
hold
the
and
baby.
carry but pass the baby.
Steve.
And then pass the baby back.
Pass the baby back.
All right, let's pause here for a moment.
What?
Is
my
this another
gosh.
is this another game of are they drunk?
She does sound it.
She sounds so drunk.
Well, okay.
This is
Now,
not
first
even
of all, this clearly never happened. And I know this because she's claiming that this happened at this would, like it happened at all the rallies this happened.
what does that even
Has
mean?
anyone,
Doesn't even mean
and she said
anything.
her rallies with thousands of
Oh,
people,
yeah.
someone in the back.
I remember seeing her rallies. There were
Yeah.
nobody was there.
Well, it
like
was
crickets.
before they announced Beyonce wasn't singing.
Oh, yeah.
And before whatever artist left the stage. So what she's claiming, in fact, when I play it in its entirety, I'll start it from the beginning
Oh.
because she
Would you like
elaborates
to
on this.
listen?
Oh yes, she claims that at her rallies constantly, it was always happening with thousands of people. Someone in the back would pass their baby
I would
to
never
get
give
up
my
to the
baby to a
front.
Democrat. I'm telling you right now.
Now,
Especially her.
number one, I can tell you how I know this never happened because nowhere ever has there been any video of this happening.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me these rallies, all of which were broadcast, filled with people who all have their phones out, yet there's not one single image of a baby, crowd surfing its way to the stage for Kamala Harris to have her picture taken with it. This is what she's saying, though. And then this idiot, this is how just idiotic these people. Oh, really? Like, it didn't cross your mind that maybe this is a lie because she's just like saying these things as if the whole world watched them happen and it didn't happen. This is how your brain gets wired to live in a world of delusion because you can make up stories that clearly are provably untrue and absurd anyhow, just the premise of them. And then the people around you act like they're perfectly true stories.
I can't explain the significance of this because I still don't even see why it matters.
No, she goes, so I'll play here in the entirety some of what she said. Oh, here, wait. No, I do want to start from the beginning just so we get the... And the thing
I
is,
think
I
this
just
is very
love
painful
her
to
voice.
listen to.
She does sound drunk. I think there's some day drinking going on here.
My favorite things to see, it would always happen spontaneously. At our rallies, and thousands of people would come. And there, it would happen, is invariably somebody would take a picture or to hug their child. And someone in the back would hand that baby over through the crowd
To you.
people who would
Bless the baby.
but pass the baby
Pass the baby.
and then pass the baby
Pass the
back.
baby back.
I don't know. There was something about that when it would happen. I mean, I could get very emotional about it right now, but
Yeah.
but I believe that we should always feel that the children of the community are the children of the community,
Yeah.
of all of us, that
Our next leaders, our next thinkers, our next.
and that we all participate in caring about that child and in caring for that child.
Yeah.
And there was just something about that.
And seeing the baby travel from the parent.
Right. And the parent trusted the stranger that was next to them, who trusted the next person, and all of them as though it was their own child. There was something so magical in many ways about that.
Oh, at least we got the word salad in there. That was so perfect.
Yeah, I'm
Talking
sure.
about the community.
Yeah, she would have been such a great president. I'm sure every
No explanation. The children of the
the
community.
baby.
She's trying to do those accents. She's
Yeah.
trying to come up with
I
another
think
accent.
the wine was kicking in. I really just wish once some podcaster in the middle would be like, Kamala, you're drunk. Just straight up, be like, B word, you're drunk.
That was ridiculous. Again,
The
it's embarrassing. And who is this person that was interviewing? They were even worse than she was.
like I said, the podcast is called
You know,
House Guest, which
one that
worst house
listened to
guest ever.
ever.
Like Kamala's the sort of house guest that you're like, hide the box wine for God's sake. Not because we're stingy with it, but who wants to listen to her go on and on? Oh God, she's telling the baby story again. The baby was magical.
You know, I wish I could have been in that interview. I would love to interview her. I would say, why are you placing so much importance on babies when you want to kill them
Yes.
and then you want to mutilate them when they become older?
Well, that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
Total,
That's right.
total nitpicking.
So the babies are sacred
just
when they're searching the
magical.
crowd coming up to whatever even that means. The baby of the community. So perfect, Kamala word salad.
But still, and again,
And whoever gave her law license, I just want to be like, do you regret that?
Man, our legal system.
How did she pass the bar?
Well, look
She
at
probably just
Tony
slept with
Willis, and yeah, I think we ask Willie Brown. He'll probably be like, "I got an idea. I've got an idea." But again, in what just about that whole thing, it would be one thing if she were claiming this was something that occurred at a private fundraiser where there weren't cameras, but she's claiming that this happened all the time at these rallies with thousands of people.
You
Do
know-
you not know that we can kind of fact check that sort of thing?
But you know, this is so annoying. This is exactly what Hillary did. They just cannot stand not being in the spotlight. It's just like the Obamas. Remember Gore? I mean,
Right.
they could not go back to the regular life. And Hillary, now Kamala, I mean, they just feel like they're becoming insignificant and nobody's listening to it. And then you're like, well, yeah, now we know you're not president because you can't even speak.
I want somebody to really follow up and ask why it is that there's absolutely no footage of this occurring. Just to hear her answer. Can you imagine? Well, they didn't really pass it as much as put it on the floor and sort of kick it up towards the stage. So you can't really see it.
And it wasn't really a baby.
Yeah. It was
Really, people at my
It was,
rally
yeah.
when it happened.
there
There were no
yeah.
cameras at the rally.
like Kamala. Afterwards, they're like, okay, so we just need to get a few things straight on this.
Forgot.
Yeah, we need to get a few things straight. That wasn't a baby. That was the bladder out of box wine that people were passing around, and you were like, and then you threw up. So let's not tell this story again.
And it wasn't a rally, and you were at home. And
Yeah.
you were at home with
Yeah,
Doug.
you lined up all
watching TV.
you lined up all
Trump's rally. It wasn't your rally.
and you lined up all your porcelain dolls, and you were yelling at them why they were scheduling you at events that didn't have more people showing up.
Be like, oh yeah, I forgot I was blacked out.
She wakes up and she has this dream that she's out swimming in the ocean surrounded by jellyfish, and she's actually in the bathtub, and all these empty box wine bladders are floating around her. Dougie! Doritos! Right, I got some Nancy Pelosi.
segment. I'm telling you.
I think I cracked a rib.
Oh man.
All right, so Nancy Pelosi. Have you seen this? Okay, she was out on the steps of Capitol Hill, and there was a reporter from Lindell TV, Allison Steinberg, and she was asking, well, you'll hear she's asking Nancy Pelosi if she's worried about the J6 investigation that's ongoing, whether or not she might be implicated or held accountable for refusing Trump's offer to have the National Guard come protect the U.S. Capitol. And here's the exchange.
Senator Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
She's drunk too. She's in the members' dining room and got into the wine. She walked out of there and was like, I can't take this anymore.
She's like all of her little airline shooters are empty, clinking around in her purse, and she shut up. You should see
colostomy bag there. She's like shooter.
So the visuals are funny because as the reporter is asking the question, Nancy Pelosi's walking away from her, and I guess she just snaps because she turns around and puts her finger in her face. So you tell you.
That's right. Jeez. They didn't take all alcohol out of the Capitol.
The Democrats really have their crap together. I'm telling you.
This is one issue that is going to come back and bite her. I mean, really. Pelosi, when they find out this whole thing was planned.
Well,
there's so many people out for blood. I can speak for this, that all these January 6 families, I mean, they still, even though everybody was pardoned, they haven't recovered. I mean, they're still traumatized about everything that happened.
The Capitol, in response to her exchange there, the former Capitol Hill Police Chief Steve Sund posted a timeline of all of the requests he sent to her office to accept the offer of the National Guard and all of the denied. Like, it's the timeline. January 3rd, 9:24. January 3rd, 11:53. 12:58. 1:05. Starting January 6th. So it was back as January 3rd, 3 days prior, in which her sergeant at arms said no because Nancy Pelosi, she doesn't want the optics of it. So it was 3 days prior that Trump was saying we need the National Guard there, and as the Capitol Hill police chief was going to Pelosi saying, hey, we need that, and it's a whole timeline. There's like 12 timelines here where it was rejected. Before finally the authorization was given at 2:08 on January 6th. And so, he, as they say, brought the receipts.
Whoa.
Which she's even on her own daughter's video, that documentary, when all this was going down. What do they call that? You're a lawyer. Where an excited utterance or something? Where she's in the midst of everything and she admits this was, on her because...
So that was on her daughter's video?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Her daughter was making a documentary about whatever, and so she was there that day, and there's video. She's filming, I want to say they're in a vehicle, and Pelosi's sort of just... I don't know, she's probably buzzed but not drunk, and then everything that's going on... and she's like, what is this? And she's like, this is on us. This is on me or something because we didn't do whatever it was. I forget the exact words, but it's like she's just acknowledging that she screwed the pooch on this, which, of course, makes it all the more hilarious that she tries to deny it, which who knows what she remembers and doesn't remember.
Oh,
anyway.
my gosh. She just needs to retire.
She could have been soused.
Yeah. What else are they going to do? It's really bad for them right now.
Yeah.
So,
no,
I guess the only alternative is to drink.
So, I want a traffic update. And then I had another bit of audio. It's just sort of out in left field. It popped up on my timeline. And it's actually audio of George W. Bush when he was running against Al Gore. And I just want to play it, and I'll explain why coming up with Christy Fulnecki. I'm Nick Reed. Christy Fulnecki is with us. There was a posting made on social media by someone, and it's Bush. He's at a campaign event when he is running against Al Gore. So this would have been the 2000 election. This was an election that Democrats denied losing. And in fact, they went to the courts to try to overturn the election. And the title of it, Political Blank Talking, was very different 25 years ago. And it just made me think, we've talked about this, how different the environment is for Republican voters and how the Republican voters have been so responsible for completely changing the makeup of the Republican Party with Trump. And we've talked about how there was that period of time when the Democrats were the cool ones and, everything, and Republicans just weren't, and just how now, just everything's so.
Now it's us.
Yeah, everything's just so hilarious. I saw a beam, and it was the J.D. Vance, the puffy J.D. Vance doing parkour, and he was falling over his stuff. I was just laughing. There was a video, an AI video. But and this just reminded me, this is a GW at a campaign event, just ripping it, being absolutely hilarious, and it's such a stark difference then versus what we have in today.
Congresswoman Pelosi.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, that's the wrong audio. Clearly, I was not prepared. All right, so here's GW at the time.
He's a good campaign. So much so that he thinks he invented the internet. The man was so smart. How come every internet address begins with W?
It's just almost like cringy, and they're like, "Yeah, that's right." Like, oh boy, that was so cringy compared to it's just.
Yeah, Trump is authentically funny, and Bush.
Well, and Vance is too. I mean,
they all are. Well, actually, the whole cabinet is. He has been so disappointing. I mean, he is Bush. Yeah. And he has not said anything. I mean, the Clintons come out and both of them put a statement out congratulating Trump for freeing the hostages. And then Obama is crossing his legs and not saying anything on the podcasts he was on. And he had, gosh, I just want to throw up. And then Bush does not even say one word.
I didn't realize he hadn't said anything.
No.
But
no, Biden did and the Clintons did.
But it also, just listening to that and how different the Republican Party, that was when the Republican Party told the voters who to vote for, and they complied.
Yeah.
They, John McCain, it's his turn, Mitt Romney, reach across the aisle. And Republicans, they just always fell in line, and they did what the Democrats now do. Democrats
do that now. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, Democrats are far worse. Democrats are told who to vote for, and then when the party changes their mind, they're like, never mind, this is going to be your candidate now. Yeah. And they're like, okay. But the Republican voters told the party in 2016, no, we're done. I mean, we're talking about a political party that was the Republican Party that had all of these candidates that were saying, I might vote for Hillary if he, that he's going to be the worst thing ever. The Republican establishment could not have been more forceful as a party in telling the voters, do not vote for this guy. And the voters said, no, we're in charge.
Yeah.
And it's just that transformation. That's not to say that there still aren't problems in terms of the establishment Republicans. I mean, there's that battle within the party, but it really is a party of the people in that sense.
Yeah.
That massive fundamental shift because the voters decided. And you look at how different that is from the Democrat Party, where the party just tells the people, the comrades, this is what you're going to do, and they fully comply. Yeah. And of the two, the Republican Party clearly is the party of the people, the voters.
Yeah, and it's so interesting how it started from the grassroots. Because
Well,
it started
that's my
with it started with Tea Party, and then you slowly grew, and then you became, America's Party. That's what I always call it. When America's Party, when Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, everybody came over. And, it's a reflection, I think, of people that we got so wacko as a country. And we're so out there in the extremes. And I think everybody was like, we're done. We're a Christian country. Most of us are Christian. We just want a peaceful life. We just want to get back to the basic values of our country. I mean, it definitely swung. The pendulum swung our way.
Yeah, and I think that's a large part of it just for normal people that do just want to be left alone. Just leave me alone. You can do your thing. That's fine. It can be crazy. That's fine. But when you start in a militant fashion demanding that I somehow live your life for you, then that's just alienate a lot of people. Christopher Knight, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We've got news in 60 seconds.
Clugston in Washington. The U.S. military has recently carried out at least 5 deadly strikes against alleged drug traffickers in boats in the waters off Venezuela. And now President Trump confirms that the CIA is at work inside that country.
President Trump told reporters at an Oval Office event he authorized covert CIA operations inside Venezuela, blaming the South American country for allowing criminals and drugs to flow into the U.S. Trump says he is also considering land operations there.
Because we've got the sea very well under control.
Early this month, the administration declared drug cartels to be unlawful combatants. Since early September, U.S. forces have conducted at least 5 strikes in the Caribbean, resulting in 27 deaths. Jennifer King, Washington.
Donald Trump says India's prime minister has personally assured him that India will stop buying Russian oil. The move could support administration efforts to pressure Moscow to end the war in Ukraine. A new report on obesity shows Americans have been cutting the fat.
The number of states with obesity rates of 35% or more has dropped for the first time in a decade. According to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 19 states had obesity rates of 35% or more in 2024, down from 23 states the year before. In adults, obesity is defined as having a body mass index of 30 or higher. It's a chronic disease linked to diabetes, stroke, cancer, and heart disease. I'm Mike Hempen.
Americans are blaming both Republicans and Democrats in large numbers for the ongoing government shutdown. A new AP-NORC poll also shows most Americans see the government shutdown as a significant problem, with delayed flights and hundreds of thousands of federal employees furloughed or working without pay. More at townhall.com.
Maybe this is you too. People are enormously frustrated with the cost of health care right now. There is an option. Hundreds of thousands of people have gone with MediShare. They like it more, and they're saving a lot of money. Perfect time for you to join, too. Apply before October 31st, and they will waive your application fee. That's $100 you'll be saving right off the bat, in addition to the thousands you can save every year. Call them now. Here's the number, 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. MediShare is a community of Christians who've shared more than $9 billion in medical bills. It has worked beautifully for decades, and with so many people re-examining their options right now, seeing premiums going up and up, this is a great time to take advantage of this offer. Just tell them the promo code SHARE and save $100 before October 31st. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE, 844-41-BIBLE.
A dispute over prepackaged peanut butter.
Springfield's Talk 1041. Hey, everyone. I am Nick Reed. Welcome to the show. We've got Author of the Week coming up, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. Reminder, Ozarks Elder Law. Planning ahead, name of the game. Today, I'll just highlight the fact that if you are 18 or older and you have not set up some sort of preparation for whether it be your demise or incapacitation, then something happens. It's going to be a bad deal. Once you are 18 years old, and this would be a great thing for parents to teach kids. Once your child is 18, They are an adult. So something happens, you get a phone call, they're in an accident, medical decisions need to be made. You cannot make those decisions for that person. It's not like in the TV shows where the family comes in and what do we do? Oh, we got to make a decision. The surgery's risky. Do we do that? Do we do this? They're an adult. Those are you have no legal medical authority over that child any more than the guy that you just purchase gas from down the road. And this is why you've got to have all of that stuff legally taken care of, and that's one of the many things that they do at Ozarks Elder Law. Lori Rook has told us before on her son's 18th birthday, this is what they did. They did other things as well, but this was part of it because of how important it is. Ozarks Elder Law, 10 area locations. Visit their site and can see all sorts of other help that they provide to families, and the consultation to learn what you need to do doesn't cost you a thing. It's a free consultation as a courtesy. And all that information, again, ozarkselderlaw.com or Nick's endorsements at ksgf.com.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies, a little bit breezy as well with a high near 83. Tonight mostly cloudy with a low around 60. For your Friday, partly sunny skies with a high near 83. And taking a look at Saturday, we'll see an 80% chance of showers throughout the day with a high near 80.
And I'm Nick Reed, and it's Thursday, which means it is Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. Our author, who is also a radio host of the Alex McFarland Show, Dr. Alex McFarland, a youth religious cultural expert, author of more than 20 books. I'm sure you've probably seen him on the numerous different outlets that so many of you watch and listen to. In his book, the timing's perfect with everything that has been developing just over the last several days, weeks as well, in the Middle East. The book is 100 Bible Questions and Answers on Prophecy in the End Times. And it seems to me as if every so often, either landmark events or just points on the calendar, people increasingly become interested in the end times. And there seems to be, for a lot of people, this paradox. On one hand, they will cite areas of the Bible that talk about end times, but then others will say, well, we won't know. We're told we won't know. Before we get into all that, what prompted you to write the book in the first place?
Oh, well, thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me on. You know, we do this show that we've done 15 years called Exploring the Word, and it's a live 5-day-a-week show. And we have, I just learned yesterday, we have listeners in Romania, Saudi Arabia, London, England, and of course all over America. And, you know, lots of people for the last couple of years have been asking, you know, are we near the end of time? And will Christ literally return one day? Do we really believe that? So, and I do, yes, I believe Christ will return. But we just begin to do all this research. And then there's the emergence of like AI. And, you know, that does seem to blur the lines of, you know, I mean, everybody listening has probably been on a computer interacting with a computer thinking they were interacting with a human. And so people were asking, you know, what is the role of AI in Bible prophecy? And is there going to be an antichrist? And what about cryptocurrency and the abolition of money? And so we wrote a book that I think represents some pretty fresh research about, you know, where the world is, where history might be going, and what does the Bible say about these things, and how, if indeed we are in the last of the last days, what should we do and how should we prepare?
It's interesting to mention the AI component. I just a couple of weeks ago, someone had sent to me someone that was communicating to AI and asking questions almost as if they were looking to see if they could figure out the source of AI and seemingly sort of tying it to potentially that sort of theme, Antichrist themes. And we've just always, I imagine, as humans, thought Antichrist in the form of a human. We think of things in modern terms. And so the fact that some people are asking those questions, one, it's interesting, but then it also makes me wonder, what things have we still not thought of that one day we may be exploring in that context?
I know. It is amazing. It's pretty amazing and maybe even a little unsettling, the technological capabilities of people now. That, you know, and in a way, you know, having the internet is something, you know, previous generations would have just freaked out. I mean, it's like every one of us holds the Library of Congress in the palm of our hand. And that's a blessing. I mean, we can look up anything and learn. But then, well, I'll put it this way. The book of Revelation, Revelation has 22 chapters. And the first 3 chapters deal with, you know, several churches that were actual historical churches. But then Revelation 4 through 20 deals with a 7-year period on earth in the future called the tribulation. And there will be a one-world government, a one-world economic system. No one will be permitted to buy or sell or trade unless they take the mark of the beast. And it's going to be a very treacherous time for the human race. But like in Revelation 13, it talks about there's this image of the Antichrist. Maybe it's like a statue. And it does things that appear to be supernatural. And I think about this, and I write about this in my brand new book. Imagine you go up to this statue and it talks with you, and it seems to be omniscient. It knows everything about you, your favorite food, your habits, your medical history. And it says that people who do not know Jesus Christ and do not have a relationship with the true and living God will worship the beast and the image of the beast. And I can certainly see with AI, I mean, there are people now, even as we speak, lonely, unsocialized millennials and younger that have relationships. There are guys that they don't have a real girlfriend, but they have, an AI lover. And so I can certainly see where the technological capabilities of the human race make possible not only some of the pseudo supernatural things we read about in Revelation, but like the global surveillance police state that will exist during the tribulation period. I mean, it's possible now.
Yeah.
They say in China, 1 billion people in China, they can take a crowd photo in a busy marketplace, and in 20 seconds or less, every person in that photo is identified. So the idea of privacy and anonymity is just about gone. And the Bible predicted this time would come.
And it's a remarkable thing because 10, 20 years ago, some of these things as they were written might have been, and they were difficult in our minds to visualize what it would look like. But as you said, so many of those things are here now.
Yeah. And, it's not bad. I'm not a technophobe. We all use technology, and technology can be a wonderful servant. It's a pretty unrelenting master, though. And it's pretty wild. With our scientific and technological capabilities, there seems to have been a corresponding decrease of our moral sensibilities.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, please finish your thought.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like it's been observed that every weapon the human race has ever contrived eventually does get used. And the point of the book, the 100 Bible Questions on Prophecy in the End Times, these are actual questions from, years of radio listeners interacting with us. But, we're telling people the good news is it's possible to have our spiritual house in order. Christ loves everybody, says, call unto me, I'll forgive your sins, I'll save your soul. And whatever this crazy world throws at us, ultimately, if we've put our faith in Christ, we're secure, and our future here, our eternity hereafter is secure for the believer.
We are talking with our author of the week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, Dr. Alex McFarland. The book, 100 Bible Questions and Answers on Prophecy in the End Times. It's just been remarkable, the things, and I keep using that word, but it seems applicable, the things that have occurred in the Middle East. And so many of us grew up hearing and watching, observing the attempt to create peace in the Middle East. And it almost became just some sort of, I think, obligatory thing that a president was supposed to be involved in, but no one really ever expected it to happen. And in terms of, well, I think we're just in different territory now. Doesn't mean that the peace will be lasting, but it just seems as if everyone's acknowledging that we have gotten further, perhaps is the best term to use, into this mission than we have in the past. What are your thoughts on it, and is this something you see lasting?
Yeah, you're right. It has been the sticky wicket for world history for decades, to bring not merely peace and the cessation of bloodshed, but just human living conditions. You know, the Guardian in the UK said that life in Gaza is going to go from utter hell to mere nightmare. And you know, besides the bloodshed and the war, there's just been, you know, lack of basic human necessities. And again, I write about this in the book too. To understand the present moment, you have to understand the battle between Isaac and Ishmael. Abraham and Sarah in the ancient world, God promised them that there would be a son, Isaac, and this is the Jewish people, the lineage of Isaac. But Abraham and Sarah ran ahead of God, and they had a child with an Egyptian named Hagar, a son named Ishmael. And the Arabic peoples are the descendants of Ishmael. Now, in 610 AD, Muhammad founded the religion of Islam. And the thing about it, like whenever I speak at universities, which is pretty frequently, you know, it's almost a given that at any American secular university, there's going to be pro-Palestinian voices and anti-Semitism, which is ironic in this age of social justice, that the world's oldest hatred, animosity against Jewish people is totally given a pass on American secular university campuses. It's bizarre. But, you know, I ask the audiences, I'll say, how many believe in the rights of the indigenous people? And 100% of hands will go up. I'm like, well, do you know the most indigenous of any indigenous people group are the Israelites in the land of Israel? Because 4,000 years before Islam even existed, the Jews were in their ancestral homeland. So if you're going to be all social justice and indigenous people's rights, why not speak up for the rights of, you know, the Jewish people in the land they've inhabited since before history was even recorded? And that's where usually somebody will shout, you know, unrepeatable words at me. By the way, Mark Twain, the famous author Mark Twain, he said, and he was not a Christian, wasn't even sure about the existence of God, but Mark Twain said, if there's anything that made him believe in the supernatural, it is the inexplicable hatred for Jewish people. Because he said, you know, tiny population. And when Mark Twain was alive, the modern state of Israel didn't even exist yet, because that was May 14, 1948. But he said, look, tiny people group, disproportionately huge amount of accomplishments to benefit the human race. And yet there's this inexplicable animosity against Jewish people. And Mark Twain said, there has to be something supernatural going on here. And I guess what I would say is, to no doubt you have many Christian listeners who believe the Bible and the future prophecies, the return of Christ. But to anybody listening who is not necessarily religious or even Christian, I would say history has really shown these things are true. They said there would never be another nation of Israel. Well, there is. They said the world would never come to a time of, you know, the abolition of nations and states and calls for a global village. Well, there are. The French atheist Voltaire, he used to say that, you know, the Bible must be false because it says the Antichrist will control the world. And there's a passage in the book of Revelation where it says that two people will die in the streets of Jerusalem, and the whole wide world will watch simultaneously. And Voltaire said, how could the whole world in real time see something happening on the other side of the planet? That's impossible. Well, we do this every day with. So I think we're here. We're at the doorstep. We're at the world's last few moments. But the good news is, Jesus Christ says, "Put your faith in me. Your sins are forgiven. Your life will have security and meaning and purpose." And so, yeah, the book is evangelistic, and we think that for believers, non-believers alike, it will connect a lot of dots and give a lot of information.
The book again, 100 Bible Questions and Answers on Prophecy in the End Times, our Author of the Week, Dr. Alex McFarland, sponsored by our Author of the Week interview, ABC Books on North Glenstone. For Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. Coming up after the traffic update, audio of Trump being asked why it is that he can't just send Coast Guard ships out to these Venezuelan drug smuggling boats. This administration has been taking out these drug smuggling boats and then making sure everyone knows about it. This obviously in an attempt to greatly diminish the desire of others to take the job as these job openings continue to open because of Trump's decision to take them out as they are on their way here to the United States to pour drugs into this country. And this is, these are some of the folks that the left have decided to defend the drug runners and their rights and due process and so forth. And so I want to play audio because it's vintage Trump in the sense of why he is so much more effective than other presidents when he's asked, why don't you just send the Coast Guard to go, visit these boats and check it out and see what's going on, as opposed to simply obliterating them out of the sea. So that audio coming up next. I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today we'll see sunny skies. It'll be a little breezy as well with a high near 83. Tonight mostly cloudy with a low around 60. For your Friday, partly sunny skies with a high near 83. And taking a look at Saturday, we'll see an 80% chance of showers throughout the day with a high near 80. And the Pyramid Roofing Company, as we move into the fall and even the winter months now, you might have roof repairs that pop up and you think, I gotta wait until spring to tackle this problem, and that's not always the case. Josh, he was with us last week, and he explained that not only will you experience a quicker turnaround on new roof installs in the fall and winter months, but you can sometimes snag a pretty good deal on it too. So if you are noticing some issues, maybe your shingles have lost some granule loss, or maybe your gutters are just not keeping up, make sure to reach out to Josh today. They offer free roof inspections. They are about a week out on those currently, and if you do need a new roof, they are about 3 weeks out on new roof installs. So make sure to reach out, schedule that appointment. You can find all of the contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Trump has been taking these steps of taking out these drug running boats out of Venezuela in an effort to try and tackle the drug problem in this country. And as usual, he is taking steps that have not been taken before. Some of it has been the use of tariffs in order to diminish or to attempt to diminish the amount of drugs coming across the border. Some of those tariffs aimed at Mexico, some of them aimed at China. And when it comes to the delivery of these drugs by sea, taking the boats out. And as you can imagine, well, one, just because Trump is doing it, that in and of itself is reason for the left to be opposed to it. And so increasingly, as he unapologetically does this and then broadcasts the video for everyone to see, here we go, here's another, here's another, here's another. The criticisms of how he's going about it, and he was asked the question yesterday regarding this, and the question, was, well, why not just send the Coast Guard in? The Coast Guard, send them on down there, and they can just intercept them and question them, and why don't we do it that way instead of just taking these people out? Because, as you know, the left are always like, well, what if they're fishermen? What if it's just a family out for a nice boating cruise, and you think that they're actually drug runners and you kill innocent people? And so here's Trump's response to this.
It has been totally ineffective. They have faster boats. Some of these boats are seriously, they're world-class speedboats, but they're not faster than missiles. But we've been trying to do that for years, and so much of the drugs, 25-30%, would come in through the seas. Right now we have, I would say, none coming in through the seas. In fact, I don't know about the fishing industry. If you want to go fishing, a lot of people aren't deciding to even go fishing. We've almost totally stopped it by sea. Now we'll stop it by land. But it never worked. It never worked when you did it in a very politically correct manner.
His was a very, very simple answer that he elaborated on. But ultimately, as he noted, when asked, well, why don't you just do it this way? This is the way we've been doing it 30 years and it didn't work. Now, to many people, that is a very clear and logical answer. This is what separates Donald Trump from the standard Washington approach, the standard government approach, which is to do the exact same thing over and over again, even if it doesn't work. And you think about the mindset of the reporter, and maybe this journalist didn't realize that this is that approach of using the Coast Guard is the approach that's been taken for 3 decades. But I suspect that there's a good chance that reporter did know, but it never, like, it's just this mindset of, why don't we just do it this way? Like, you mean the way that doesn't work? Because it doesn't work. And isn't 99% of what occurs out of Washington, D.C., an approach that, and government in general, out of state capitals and local government, it's consistently an approach that has been done over and over again, and it doesn't fix the problem. Obamacare, government and medicine is a perfect example of this. Public education, perfect example of this. War on drugs, perfect example of this. And it's just like, well, we can't figure out, why don't you just do it the same way? And when you understand it and you get it, it's so refreshing. It doesn't mean Trump's right all of the time, but it's so refreshing just because that did not work, so we're doing it this way now. And guess what? It's working. We've slashed the amount of drugs coming into the United States, but it's as if that's irrelevant. Well, okay, the results, but still, why don't you do it this way? And it is a reflection of how even a lot of Americans have been, I don't want to use the word brainwashed, but we've become so accustomed to government failing and then doing it over and over again that it just never almost even crosses our mind, what is the point of government doing it? Education is a great example of this. If you were to ask the average person, why is it that government is in charge of education? What is the point? Well, it's to make sure that our kids are educated and that, they're ready to get out there and to take on the world but it's like, okay, well, that's not happening by every measurable matrix. We continue to fail at it. And the vast majority of people don't care. And the weird contradiction is, if you are to talk about, well, maybe we should get, let's say, government out of it, they will scream to high heaven, you can't do that because of how important education is. Well, then why don't you care about its success? But in our minds, this is just what government's supposed to do. Doesn't matter whether it works. Doesn't matter what the results are. And it's like to ask that question of Trump, and I don't even know what reporter it was. Well, why don't you just continue to do it the same way that's been done 30 years as opposed to the answer's right there. The answer is in the question. Because one way works and the other doesn't. Why? What am I here for? What am I supposed to be doing? You've got to appreciate Trump's, at times, his just complete and utter lack of any sort of respect for the press, not simply because they so often try to attack him, but asking questions in which the answer should be so obvious and so clear. If I were Trump, I would, at every given moment, want to ask him, what do you think my job is here? Like, what do you think I'm supposed to be doing? I mean, we've all collectively decided, okay, government is, and as President of the United States, in my power, I am supposed to diminish the drug problem, the drug epidemic in this country. Aside from whether that's actually the proper role of government or not. But we've all decided that. The media has decided that that's like something we need to be doing. And you're asking me why I'm doing it? Successfully? Now, for those who say, well, it's not about that. It's about the fact that, it's just these are people that haven't been charged with anything. These are individuals, sure, they're running drugs up here and golly gee, there may be somebody innocent on that boat. What about all this stuff? Spare me. And I say that because let's not pretend as if there aren't, whether it's right or not. I'm just talking about the selective outrage here. There's not an administration in the world or in the United States that doesn't have our government undertaking certain operations that involves taking out people in other countries without, quote, due process, in which sometimes there's collateral damage. I'll go back to the Obama administration and the fact that every week he got a list of names, many of which were Americans who had never been charged with anything, that the CIA said, hey, we believe these individuals are terrorists, so we want to take them out. And did so. Obama had an Arizona citizen who was in Yemen taken out, and his son was collateral damage. We know this because the Obama administration, this was part of their selling point for re-election, how tough he was on crime. This isn't something that is a right-wing conspiracy. All of that came in this glowing expose by the New York Times when Obama was running for re-election in order to make him look tough on terrorism. So when particularly people on the left act as if they just can't believe, what right does a president have to just pick these people just because they're running drugs or potentially running drugs up here to the United States to take them out? Well, you can't do that. Stop it. Your selective outrage here, particularly when the New York Times, the whole point of their glowing article to try and help get Obama reelected to that second term was to highlight the fact that Obama did that sort of thing. See, when Obama did it, he's tough. Look, this is how you know how serious Obama is about terrorism. His steely disposition every week, making that decision as to which names on that list will be eliminated in the name of national security, because he is what a true leader is. Of course, Trump does it. Well, this is what dictators do. Incidentally, back to the original point about how Trump is different than most people in government, in which he actually concerns himself with results. And when we take a certain approach, like utilizing Coast Guard to pull these boats over to try to chase them down, they outrun it, and it doesn't work. After 30 years, Trump says, maybe we ought to try a different approach. But it isn't simply an approach in that capacity, but it's the approach of how to deal with the problem on a macro level. And the approach that we have been taking in this country has been to not try to stop the flow of drugs in any meaningful way from making it into this country, but waiting until people get addicted to drugs and then setting up government programs to try to get them unaddicted. So it's sort of just sit and wait. Once the problem occurs, then we try to fix it, which, aside from the fact that that particular system is proven to be absolutely just fraught with all sorts of fraud, it clearly hasn't worked. Or, well, prescription drug monitoring programs, or, we're going to have this, we're going to have that. Trump's approach is, how about we just prevent the drugs from getting here in the first place? And given the vast amount of drugs that are that causes the problem to the degree that we have it, are not homegrown drugs. They are coming from outside the country. That's kind of a novel approach, isn't it? It's like the difference between having the knowledge and ability to stop an arsonist before he gets to his target versus just sitting back, waiting for it to happen, and then trying to put out the fire after it's already begun. This is vintage Trump, and this is why Trump proves to be a success in so many ways that others haven't, because he just says, golly gee, we've tried it that way, didn't work, so let's try something different. And the world clutches their pearls. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. Sarah Myers, everyone.
Thank you. If you've not scheduled your furnace fall annual checkup, now is the time to do it. Now, I know we've probably got at least a couple more weeks before we really start switching that bad boy on, but you don't want to be stuck with no heat when you need it. And a fall annual checkup is just one of the many things that Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air can do for you. They do residential, commercial, and if you do get stuck with no heat, they offer a 24/7 emergency service line as well. They are an awesome group to work with. I highly recommend that you check out their reviews. And if it is time to have the Foreman team out to your home, reach out to Russell today for all of your HVAC needs. Now, you can find all of the contact information for Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
The Democrats obviously are doing everything they can to try and undo the reputational damage they are suffering due to this shutdown. And, there's got these polling numbers that come out, and it's like, well, people kind of blame both sides. And I don't buy it. I think culturally, people may feel that way, but when it really comes down to who is the party that can stop the shutdown, people think it's Democrats. I know that may sound confusing, but here's what I mean by that. I think a lot of people see this, like regardless of who has the ability to reopen government, as part of the problem in Washington, D.C., because this is all people do. So everybody's to blame. This is part of the problem. When it comes to this whole mess, everybody's got their hands dirty. But that's different than, okay, but who do you think has the ability, who like, in practical terms, logistically speaking, is holding this thing up? And that most people recognize as being the Democrats. And the Democrats know it. That's why they're running around desperately. I mean, you had AOC and Bernie Sanders, a town hall meeting at CNN, on CNN last night. They know that this is not working out in their favor. And much of it is because of the successful messaging from Republicans that all of this is done, or at least a large portion of it, because Democrats want the American taxpayers to pay for illegals to get health care. And they are desperately trying to lie their way out of this by claiming, well, I mean, the federal government can't spend on health care for illegals. It's illegal. But the states do, and they get reimbursed by the federal government. We just had this story yesterday, the state of Oregon. is spending more on health care for illegal aliens than they are for law enforcement for the entire state. And 25% of that gets covered by the federal taxpayers. That's just Oregon. And they are trying to use semantics in order to make it seem as if they do not support health care for free health care at your expense for illegals. Anyone in the entire world who can make it into this country illegally, they want to reward in that fashion. But people, they're figuring this stuff out. And because the Democrats are no longer able to censor social media, more Americans are learning the truth. And during the Q&A, and this is where they're backing themselves into these uncomfortable corners here, Caitlin Collins, I think, was the one asking Ocasio-Cortez, when Ocasio-Cortez is saying the sleight of hand here with the federal government can't pay, it's already illegal, saying yes, but do you want that to change? And she won't answer the question. She asked her like 2 or 3 different times, yes, but do you, if you were in charge, is that something you want to change? Do you want there to be a law that the federal government does guarantee American taxpayers have to pay for illegal? And she won't answer it. Well, duh, because we all know the answer. And increasingly, Americans are getting tired of being put to the end of the line. They're getting tired of an entire political party's top priority being representing people who aren't even citizens of this country on the backs of hardworking Americans. And increasingly, average people are getting tired of being treated like idiots that can't figure this stuff out. Now, you and I both know there's a significant portion of the population that can't figure it out or they don't care because they're in the bubble cult. But average, normal people who understand fairness, who understand honesty, are increasingly rejecting this sort of thing, and that's why Democrats are continuing to lose on this front.